I'm Martin. I'm the CTO of Twin Drums, and with me is Allan. Allan, the CEO. We're happy
Hi.
that you joined us today. This is a very special week for us. This week, our Alpha-2 started. It's the second Alpha we run with the Wagadu Chronicles. And yeah, I think, how do you feel about it, Allan? How do you feel about this Monday, the Alpha-2?
So this is a great question, and I'd say it's first of all feels like an achievement for sure, because I mean looking back at like first Kickstarter prototype, how basic things were. Then Alpha One, which was like, do we have enough content for 1 or 2 days? We managed then to have a whole week, and now it just feels like there's so much stuff and so many positive reactions. So it's kind of emotional in some ways, like very special. And also, not too long ago, there was a lots going on. I had a tiny racist incident, and I feel like it was a certain mindset. And I think seeing the Wagadu Chronicles being so successful, like this Alpha 2 going so well, bringing all of this Afro fantasy out there in a successful way, yeah, it's a bit emotional as well. So yeah, it's a good question. How are you feeling, Martin, about it?
Yeah, actually, for me, it's also, I think we were me at least, from all the tech team in general, we're usually the ones that do most of the work very much in the end, right? So actually we didn't, it was reasonably relaxed, but there's still, a lot to do, right? So you're in it, in the middle of it, so you cannot really realize it. And then it starts and you also still have a lot of things to do. And so for me, it slowly settles in, right? This good feeling that, yes, we managed to ship another alpha, and I think you already mentioned it. We don't, it was, I think it worked really well. I mean, from the technical perspective, for sure, and it looks beautiful. So yeah, I'm really hyped about it. And yeah, we will be watching stream chat, at least we hope, because we're using a restreaming solution. So bear with us. But yes, please, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in chat.
So as a plot twist, I also have YouTube open, Martin, so I can see YouTube as well.
Nice.
So we're definitely looking at questions.
Very good. Yeah. So Allan, what do we see here on the screen that you shared?
Yeah, so you see like our two characters. So it's a fun fact that often people, even sometimes testing the game, they think this is an NPC interaction and go like, oh, I was speaking with an NPC. But no, this is actually two live players. In this case, it's us, so Martin and I. On the left, that's me. On the right, Martin, interacting and chatting. So if I say like, how is your day going? This is what we call our dialogue mode, which is basically a gossip generator mode for people to talk and do things. That's how we call it as well. But it's for role playing, so you can chat and can have this more immersive experience. Still very basic, the camera movements for now, but we'll be iterating in future. We call it the dialogue mode.
Yeah, so it's a private chat. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, I really love. I mean, what we could show off here is also, night has turned in, and you see this little moonlight actually reflecting on your white cape, which is great. But also, if I say something like, should we go and explore? You can see all the nice details. Obviously, a bit not so bright currently, but you see a lot of these nice details that have been added by our art team. Beautiful accessories, colors. So yeah, I think it just looks so great.
Yeah, dialogue mode is a great way to show off your character and also to see what the art team of Twin Drums did, because there's like massive boards of on-ND references from different cultures, mostly around the African continent and the diaspora, plus all the fantasy influences. So every piece you see, every jewelry, every cloth has been crafted with so much love and so much research as well, because it's really about creating, in some way, a whole new genre. Like Afro fantasy barely exists nowadays. Like this combination between like pre-colonial African aesthetics, clothes, music, and so on, and fantasy and mythology. So the art team is just doing like really the work of the ancestors and the gods. It's amazing. Really.
Yeah, art and music is very beautiful. Before we go out, maybe can you give us a brief overview of what has changed between Alpha 1 and Alpha 2 in the game? What has been added? What has changed? Like maybe just a short list. I think we will go maybe a little bit more into detail when we look at things, but just maybe an overview so people know what they can expect in the next 50 minutes or so.
Yeah, sure. So the Alpha 1 was really about the basics. So we had like basic gathering, basic crafting, and then there was like very basic combat, and a couple of things around it, like the a mini game, the board game over it, but not much else. Whereas like in this build, we have like a much richer loop. So for instance, the gathering has next to it farming, has next to it fishing, and also like the long-term gameplay has been extended. So what you do apart from like growing your character and your skills, you also grow the village itself, so the buildings can be upgraded and maintained just as the characters. So you have like a more holistic, like a more community part of the game, which wasn't existent in Alpha 1. Also like much more to explore, much more levels to see and territory, more resources. So a bit more of everything. And by the way, I'm very excited for you to see like the new farming, fishing, because they really have interesting mechanics that will be able to show up.
I think one thing I still wanted to point out in addition is that there is also a lot of improvements that went in, especially in the UI side of things, which was pretty rudimentary in Alpha 1, but also generally in terms of accessibility. And if you look at things like the combat, it's now much more readable than it was in the previous version. We actually have a question from Vince. Is dialogue going to allow more than 2 participants? Allan.
It's a great question. And so for now, currently in this Alpha 2, if you jump in, it's going to be 2 players, as you see, but we're aiming to go to 4. That is the goal. So we'll see. It depends also on like some technical questions, but that's our goal. And we believe that more than 4, it gets a bit too noisy and chaotic, but 4 still is like an interesting interaction.
Great. So are we ready to embark on our journey?
Let's do that.
All right, let's do it.
So it's a beautiful moonlit night for us. I can comment that these buildings that you see around are like decorations for now. They're like compounds, very much inspired by a lot of African cultures where people live in many huts next to each other. And for Alpha 2, they're not inhabitable yet, but this will change in future. So a little teaser for the things to come.
We picked maybe not the best time to walk around because it's night, but yeah, I mean, it's beautiful, but we can show up the glowing trees maybe.
I think the lighting is great. I actually really like night because you get to see like all this, look at this is a lore stone where you get information, often like tutorialized info. I think it's really cute. Someone else, let's say greetings. So this is like the chat out. If you don't use dialogue mode, this is how you communicate with others just around the world. So we mentioned buildings and a village. This is one of the first buildings. It's very simple. As you can see, a few mats and fruits and veggies, but actually it's the market. You want to say something about the market, Martin?
Yes, the market. I'm not sure if everyone is aware of who's watching this live stream, but the market, so this is a sandbox MMO. So the idea behind it is that everything that gets created in the game has to be created by players. So players go out in the world and explore and find the resources, then they come back to the crafting and places like a forge, and they will create all the items and resources necessary for the game and for other players. And the question is, how do you interact with other players, right? You can obviously trade with them. So I can offer something to Allan game and then they can take it. But sometimes you're not there, you're offline, or you are a master crafter and your job in game is actually to produce wonderful swords that are decorated and very effective. So you have a market and you put them on the market and you can sell them there. It's a nice, currently we have local markets. So you cannot, so you have to physically go there in game and trade things. I think we will keep some of this. Now we have sunrise, beautiful shade of colors. But yeah, do you want to show something maybe on the market? I mean, it's very straightforward. You can
buy some flowers here, hibiscus flowers.
Oh, nice. Okay. It's very cheap flowers.
Yeah,
Get them.
whoever put them there. I think the community has been actually, oh, I got so many flowers. The community has been so nice. I was actually commenting before with someone else, like how capitalism is like just so much kinder and nicer in our Alpha-2 Wagadu, because people are just underpricing everything just to help others, which is really cute. I think it says something about the community that's building around the game as well. People are not trying to overcharge and actually are undercharging their work just to help others to find things and put them on the market. So it's almost like a bit of a charity thing going on, which is really cute.
All right. Maybe one more thing you could show off here is the manage building functionality, because all these buildings are actually dynamic in game. So currently you're not able to place them, but you need to maintain them and you can upgrade them by spending resources. So this is what this tab is for. Currently we see this, maintenance is almost finished, right? And then once you have put in enough resources, you will be able to upgrade it.
Yeah.
And then unlock more. In this case, if you can go back, for example, to the sell tab, you currently have a limited amount of slots that you could sell things in, and this is one of the quantities, for example, that changes when you upgrade.
Let's sell one ink. Let's see.
Ooh, ink.
And price. I'm going to charge a bit more. Like people,
Yeah,
50, no one will buy this. Okay.
Cool.
And I think this is a really foundational element of the game, because there's not that many online spaces out there where players can manage their own markets freely. And some of these places are like very hostile worlds, like amazing games, but very hostile, like EVE Online or Albion Online. They're very much about the more aggressive side of capitalism. And in some we're more on the cuter end, it's like more community building things together, and therefore like sharing, buying. So we still have an open market, but it's not about PvP. It's really about building things together.
Yeah. And it's also obviously it's Alpha-2, right? So you can expect this feature to develop over time. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you maybe also want to show off the Waka real quick, so that we just can see maybe the list of contributors and stuff like that?
Yeah. So this building here you see is the so-called Waka. And it's basically a guardian spirit of the village. Every settlement will have this. In future versions of the game, there'll be basically almost nothing around, and then you'll claim the Waka as a guild. We call them societies, and then build the village. For now, like for Alpha-2, already like set a bit of buildings around, like by the preset. So here, expecting the Waka. And you can see similar as the previous user interface you saw for the market management. You have to maintain it. So here's already green because people have already put in enough resources to maintain it. And then you can now add more resources as a guild to upgrade it. So to basically make it better. And upgrading a Waka is very important, because the higher the Waka level, the higher the Waka tier, the higher tiers you can upgrade all the buildings around. So it's kind of like a lock, like a bottleneck. And if you improve it, it allows you to improve all of the buildings in the settlement. And in future versions of the game, there'll be even more perks that you'll be getting with the Waka upgrades. You mentioned contributions, right, Martin?
Yeah, just maybe to show it off. So you see basically the people that contributed to this. So this would be one of the tabs where you can keep track of who did what, and you also have the members. Currently, everyone who contributes is a member, which is nice. Yeah, but for the future, this will be there will be actually an extra building here called the Elder Hall, I think it is,
yes,
right? Which will be the place to manage your guild and also the settlement.
Okay. People are being nice, so just out of politeness, I'll say greetings. Also, these players might know or might not know that we're streaming, so we just don't want to be rude people. And by the way, the Wagadu Chronicles, it's a role-playing first space. So, I can see it's very social. And also we focus on the in-game world lore. So really about staying in character, acting out who you are, living this fantasy, living out politics, the real world, what's happening in our lives, and focusing on this magical fantasy world. A bit like players do in Dungeons and Dragons, or also in a single-player game, right? If you meet an NPC, the NPC will speak like they live in that world, and that's what we're doing here. So there's no NPCs, these are all real players, but fully immersed, and it's really lovely. I think it's really amazing how the community is really role-playing and being part of this magical world. And saying hi to goats. I just saw a player say hi to goats. Like, why not? Let me say hi to goats as well.
Let's pet the goat, right?
Yeah.
It's something we still need to do.
Yeah. Cool. Should we maybe head towards the maybe
The
fishing
farm, I
area?
think, or
Farm.
farm.
Okay. Yeah. Nice.
I think we can continue with the farm.
Yeah. Sounds good.
I love your white clothes. They're very easy to pick up.
Yeah, easy to spot. Wow. Do you want to go for it?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, you share the screen, so you have to show how it works. But
yeah. Okay.
So this is our farm. It's a communal farm where all the, I mean, there will be probably settings. Currently, everyone actually can plant something on the plots here, but in the final version, it will be a mixture between people that are part of the settlement, and you can open up spots. And yeah, maybe you can show how farming works a little bit.
I don't have the right tool for it. Do you have any chance?
No.
So I mean, you know what, Mark? I'm able to show that you need tools in the Wagadu Chronicles to do things.
Yeah.
Because
I don't have the right tool either.
Oh no!
Maybe you can show the equipment screen, and
so I can do that. Yeah, and yeah, that's a good point. So we can show our inventory. And here you can see actually on the tools. So on the left, everything that's equipped on the body. Most of these equipment slots are actually aesthetic. Like the Wagadu Chronicles is a lot about expression and customization. So you can see there's earrings, torso, and so on. And then the weapons are on the top. There's two loadouts. You can switch them before combat. Here I have a Moonblade, and the other one I have like a Sistrum staff, a staff that occupies 2 slots. And then below there's tools. So sickle, hammer, overboard. This is for a mini game. I don't have an adze that would allow me to use the farm, so I have to get one. No, maybe I do have. Here, it wasn't equipped. Okay, cool. I equipped it, and
what
then we can.
Adze or
Adze should be enough, so I can go back out. Yeah, let me try now. Yeah, I can sew something.
Yeah. So maybe I can say something about the current cycle. So the current cycle for growing or for planting something is, so initially you will plant some seeds, and then the plant will start to grow, right? Planting takes a little bit of time. Now it's in there, and you can see the flax seeds have started growing. And now there's a timer starting, and you the grow time. And inside this grow time, there is a period, like while it's growing, you can water them to optimize what you get out of it, the rewards. And there is actually optimum period. I think you missed probably the optimum. We'll see. And then it will take some time to grow. Currently, we have quite a spread of growth times. So there are these short growing things. This is like a couple of minutes, while I think we have also one that takes 24 hours to grow. Okay. Yeah. So we're still experimenting with this. The whole farm feature is, I think, fairly new. Mm-hmm. It's also something that not a lot of MMOs are focusing on. So for us, it's something we still have to experiment how exactly it will fit in there. We definitely will have it, but the times or seed growing times and so on, yeah, we just have to check. But I think for the players, it has been quite a success in alpha. Players use it a lot. I mean, there are very expensive, important resources that come out of it. I think one thing that I really love about farms is how in the village they give a very dynamic element to the village through growing something. It really looks like you have this beautiful garden in your village, and yeah, I think I really very much enjoy this as part of the game. And it's integral part of the game, right? It's not just decorations. It's literally you grow something, it looks beautiful, it makes it nice, and you will get something out of it. So it's one of why I love this feature so much.
I very much agree. That is really awesome. It really makes the village come very much alive. And a little comment here, cultural comment. You can see these 3 statues here. These are like some fetish spirits, the protective spirits, and you'll be able in future to interact with them to kind of improve the farm and also get some blessings. I'll also say greetings, spirits. And that's also a thing about the Wagadu Chronicles. A lot of the features you see are very much typical in other video games or MMORPGs, but then they often have like a bit of a Black or African twist to them that affects mechanics very often. Totally, yeah, I agree, Martin, on the experimentation. We're trying things. I think farming, what's interesting is going to be the timing, especially. Like some stuff might take like till the next play session the following day. Some stuff will actually grow very quickly. So we're really looking at also gathering more feedback from players on this. Should we head to the shrine next?
Yeah, maybe have a quick look at the shrine. I think it's just currently a small feature. The shrine is the place where you can heal yourself and where you can learn something about the relationships with the different spirit kingdoms and how you have how they are. Currently, you're very neutral. It's probably because your character is fairly new. I can say something about these standings. These standings actually change through the actions that you're doing. So some of these kingdoms like you to farm, some of these kingdoms like you to fight, but they don't like you to farm. And so these values are driven by this, and this is also a basis of your the NPC interaction system. And the second thing you can do here is healing. Currently, you don't need to heal, but maybe we're gonna get into combat, and then we will see how.
Might get necessary.
Yeah. And again, this is an upgradable building, and you have to pay it in maintenance to keep it, and then you can upgrade it to get better perks out of it.
Yeah. So every building has this interface. You'll see the managed building. And the kingdoms are basically factions of enemies. And as Martin was saying, like if you increase one faction, you will get some perks eventually, but also you will probably lowering some other the score with some other factions. So it's kind of an interesting diplomacy game you can play with NPCs as well.
Cool. Do you want to maybe, as one of the last buildings, show around the fishing?
Yeah, I was thinking to show also like a crafting station.
Yeah.
I did the thing of so maybe I can briefly stop here. This is one of the station. It's a handicraft, like kind of a wood, stone items. You can see here on the left there's recipes. You can filter them. Oh, of course, always the manage building tab as for every building. I seem to have the ingredients for one, so let me try the flax oil. So you can see here there's like a container needed. Flax seeds, so these two ingredients I have. The locked ingredients here, bonus ingredients, is a system we're going to implement in future, especially important for magic items. And then below there's alchemy 1, that's the skill you need. I have alchemy 1, I have that skill so I can build this. So on the right, there's a description, and then craft. If I click, it will start the process. There you go. You'll be able to see my animation if you were looking from the outside. And I think in 1 second, I should have.
I can confirm. If you would be in game, you would see it too.
Okay, there you go. I got the ingredients are gone, and I got the flax oil. Cool. And this is the same. The only difference, I guess, with some other items is that if there's clothes, for instance, like clothing here, I selected it. I don't have enough ingredients, but you can add dyes. So you see, I have some dyes with me. So I have the dyes. I don't have the common ingredient to create the plugs for the earrings. But I could actually select dyes, so you can customize stuff already, which is pretty awesome. The art team did a great job.
Do you want to go maybe to the tailor shop and see if we can craft a cloth? Would be interesting to see.
Let's see if I have enough ingredients for it. So here you see the tailor. By the way, again, the architecture of every building is inspired by actual African crafts. Like this type of tailors is throughout the African continent. You will see this typical kind of pulled threads. Is very much how it was done historically. There you go. I have some enough ingredients to make a top here.
Nice. So, and then choose a nice color, and then maybe we can equip it. Wow.
Yeah, so I'm going to go. Let's see. Any suggestions on the color from the chat? I see here like this blue. Look if anyone is speaking.
I personally like the red, or the orange. But...
Orange one. Okay. I see. If there's no last minute comment on the chat, then we're going to go for orange. And I'm going to craft. Orange, okay. Greetings, I see.
Nice.
Oh, from nothing, hi, greetings, welcome.
I think one thing we hopefully not see is, but currently our crafting system actually include crafting failure for high tier items, but I think this one is actually an okay item. And should we
let me try equipping it.
Yes.
So I'm going to go back on the upper left to my inventory. So now this is where I have too many things. I'm going to filter a bit. Oh, there you go. And this is a cotton top. So I'm going to move it to torso. There you go. So this it matches a bit less the other clothes I have, but since I just made it and for all the effort, I'll keep it.
You keep
Also, yeah, since we're here, like I mentioned skills, we mentioned skills before. Here you can see like all characters in the Wagadu Chronicles are not class-based, but it's much more free form. You can actually see my character has a bit of smithing here, alchemy. If I want to become a better tailor, I could actually invest some points here. See and increase a bit my tailoring. The points on the right here are memories, they're called, because you fall into Wagadu, forget a lot, and then you're slowly regaining some of the memories. There's also combat skills. So you can also decide not to invest anything in combat skills and just to focus, for instance, on just your crafting skills or fishing or farming. You'll see fishing soon, by the way. There's also a quest tab if you pick any quest, and then party if you're. We should probably create a party, Martin. Right?
Yeah, let's do that. Do you want to invite me so we can see on the full invitation flow? Maybe I should invite you so we see.
Okay, go for it. Invite me.
Well, oh, it's the funny thing. I'm always clicking on the screen where I can't click.
Awesome! I got the. If there's any questions, by the way, feel free to shoot just to anybody in the stream, and hi to everyone who joined.
Yeah, thank you so much for that you're liking it. Yeah, maybe we can have a little review here. Big set, so beautiful already.
That goat needs some attention. Yeah, goats in Wagadu are really like attention craving, attention seeking. That's true.
Yeah, I think we call them the naughty goats. We probably should share some screenshots afterwards, but I think we're gonna leave them that way because it's just fun. They always mess up things and are always in the picture and when they're not supposed to be.
Non-stop.
Non-stop, yeah. So let's move to the back. Here in the back.
There's a question. I think I'll answer just on if items wear out over time, and yes, they do. With consumption, they wear out, and you can repair them. But this system is not finalized yet in this Alpha-2, but it's part of the plan. And the items will get broken as well. So there's going to be a system to repair them. They break. What happens already currently is that if you go in combat and you lose, you do potentially lose some items. But this will be a bit more detailed in future with like specific durability and so on. It's already part of the plan.
Nice. Yeah, I was about to talk about fishing. Fishing is a new feature we added since Alpha-1. Yeah, I think we took a little bit of a different approach to other games, and it's also a bit of an experiment. We'll see how it goes. So currently, people really enjoy it. It is actually a rhythm game that you play, a small one, and you kind of try to dazzle the fish with your musical skills, and that's the idea behind it. So, Allan, do you want to just show it off?
There you go.
First,
I'm not the best at this, so let's see how it goes. Pressure.
Yeah. The sound. We don't share sound, right?
Yeah, there's actually music, some tracks that we have for this. But you can also see the visuals and potentially me succeeding.
Oh, that was actually almost, I would call it a perfect run. The fish are very pleased, and you can get a reward depending on your performance. This is actually also a building. So fish ponds are buildings. Currently, it's not upgraded on this version, but it will be soon. And it's something you also have wild fishing spots that can be just their nature. They come in different tiers with different difficulties.
Different songs as well. Right?
Different songs, different fish that give different rewards in different biomes. So there's a whole system around that. Yeah, and you see also Allan dancing there at the bottom for the fish. And the fish are again very pleased. So this is on the beginner's island, and we have tested that feature a lot. So even without music, Allan does a perfect score there. We should
I'm quite bad at it.
Yeah, nice. So this is a different way of. I think it's also mostly gathering some type of resources. So it's part of that. You have the farming, the gathering, and this as some of the key elements to get new resources from the world. Cool. Let me see.
Cool. Maybe should we speak about combat as well?
Yeah, I think that would be the next thing. Should we maybe move someplace a little bit away from people?
Yeah. So then don't just see us like.
Yeah. Because we were going to stand around a bit weirdly. So maybe we could. We can go out here. Maybe go there in the back.
Hiding in like a
little hidden spot here, which actually our little designer created with a little rock here. Yeah. So combat, Allan, how does
yeah. So we are a turn-based combat game. So something actually that we're very excited about because most online games focus on real-time, kind of very frantic type of combat. But we love turn-based combat, from JRPGs to tabletops and so on. And so we ask ourselves, why can't we just do this for our MMORPG as well? And one question that we had is like, how can we make this work from like a timing perspective? Not to have turn-based combat, but still to keep it snappy and not too slow. So we're going to show you what we did. I'll start a combat, Martin. So
should I?
You want to go? Okay, cool. Go for it. Yeah, go for it.
Should we pick something? Do you have any preferences?
Just something easy so we don't die. Let's see if we manage not to die. Let me check my equipment, if I have my weapons equipped so I don't die.
Yeah, that would be
so
good.
I have a Moonblade. Let me check my skills. Actually, Moonblade will be melee combat. I'm going to max it out because I have enough skill points. By the way, this is admin stuff that we have so many memory points and have like access to combat anywhere. Just to clarify, it's like we're a bit cheating, but it's for good purpose to show you people the game.
The good people, yeah. All right, are you ready?
Yes, ready.
Then let's. I don't think this one is good. I'm actually not 100% sure. Medium.
In the comments.
Okay.
Oh, Atlantic Online. I never played it, but I heard about it. Yeah. There's some other French MMOs from a company called Ankama, Wagadu they have, but there's not that many MMORPGs out there with this system. This is the start screen you can see now. And so we have the option potentially to flee. Again, like not everybody has to fight in the Wagadu Chronicles. You can also change here your loadouts. You can see down here, I have a system staff or the Moonblade, but I'll go for the Moonblade. What are you going for, Martin?
I chose the cup. Oh, I also have a Moonblade.
Oh no, I should have switched
to. So I think we are both coming from a similar direction. So Moonblade is, I think, a short-range weapon, right? So melee.
Yeah, it's melee. Yeah. So now we have two phases. That's how combat works. First one is a movement phase, and everybody has a few seconds to pick where to go. So you can see Martin picked to go on the other side. We could also communicate on the left and say what next. I've noticed playing with others in Alpha-2. I mean, actually using it to coordinate a lot of the chat. Now, of course, also on the call, so it's easy. I'm going to throw my blade. Yeah, there you go. We should have probably focused on one creature, but it's not the best strategy.
No.
I'm going to come to your direction and tank a bit as well.
Yeah.
Maybe you should come because I'm surrounded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So here you can already. So the system maybe just. To explain, so I think a lot of MMOs, there are a couple of turn-based ones, right? But they usually don't work with these strict time constraints, and also they I think the
team basically through the action one by one, right?
Yeah, exactly. And this is like team-based movement and team-based actions. Actions then get played in order of initiative. And yeah, I think it's very dynamic because it's fast, right? So you're not waiting for anyone to do something. There's always an action available for you, and but it still gives you the tactical depth of this precise positioning. It gives you the tactical depth of combining weapons. We're currently not doing a great job at it because we think we picked similar weapons. But I think all this is, I think, for me, the strength of that combat. And it feels, very different to a lot of these typical MMO combats that you would have in a game like, let's say, RuneScape or EVE Online.
Yeah, like we have the strategic depth, but also it's faster because everybody acts basically at the same time. I'm thinking, are you also having the executions going on so long? Is this a bug?
Yeah, we managed to run into a bug in Alpha-2. Great stuff. We were reported to the team. Yeah, I think we're stuck in combat. So should we just boot out and go back in? You can maybe stop unsharing screen. Or maybe this is enough for today showing the gameplay, right? Or is there,
Yeah, because actually it's it's an intentional bug. No, I'm joking. But let's check if there's any questions in the meantime, because we have actually gone through all of the features. And I think the only thing we haven't shown maybe is like different biomes, but that would take a while also to run
I mean,
around.
we didn't show, I think gathering, we didn't show Ovara. So there are more features actually,
Yeah,
key features,
yeah,
but I think from like having a nice overview and maybe also
agree.
focus on things that are new in Alpha 2, I think we did a good job there.
Yeah.
Can we?
Looking at the comments, let's see if there's anything interesting. So
Mhm.
I loved Wakfu. Oh, nice. So some feedback on the turn-based combat in MMOs, and then yeah, high skill ceiling potentially. True. Yeah, like there's a lot of room for potentially learning and improving. But also something I really love about this type of turn-based combat is very accessible as well. Like if you're, your reflexes are a bit lower, you're a certain age, or you have a disability, you can still become really good at this combat. And that's something very rare for online games. Often they require like a lot of speed and like really instinct, and you cannot kind of slow down a bit and go like, what's going on? The bug has been reported, community bug. Okay, awesome.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, I think for me, it is just something more interesting to do in combat than just, pressing your hotkeys. And I like that a lot. I think not everyone needs to engage with this combat, right? This is also something we have combat and we find it interesting, but you don't have to do it, right? I think this is important for us. You can be a farmer, right? That could be your thing. Or you are a gatherer and crafter and you're the master crafter, or you're the guild master. You're mainly doing politics, right? So I think there's a wide breadth of things you can do. Also, we will have conflict in the game, also large-scale conflict between societies, but these will not be based on combat primarily.
I think we can describe it more as like it's a competition, right, between them, or conflict, but it's not like direct PvP. So it's really more like the Wakas we showed, the Guardian Spirit we showed before, and the villages. You can claim more of these Waka spirits around other islands, therefore enhancing your own community, making better and more buildings, and become like a big metropolis. But the territory, the land is limited. So at some point you will clash with other communities, but it's not about killing each other. It's more about seducing and convincing those spirits, so bribing them in some way. So who has the most resources? So who is like, planning the best resource gathering, or the best combinations for the right spirits? Who is doing the quest for these spirits? So in some way we do have competition, but it's going to be a bit different and not as bloody as in other games.
Yeah, it's more resource based and it's also PvE normally, right? So even if it's a combat quest, for example, you will not fight other players, but you will fight spirits, right? Which does include, like, we had discussions if at one point we might do something PvP related, but it's like far in the future, like more of a tournament style, because the system obviously also works well with two teams of players fighting, because it's basically built also for that, right? So there's no huge difference if you fight against a mob, or you could even have two teams of players fight against a mob, and whoever kills them first wins, or something like this, or you can collaborate. So I think there are a lot of options, or a lot of possibilities in that system. Yeah. Cool. All right. Thank you. Should we maybe go into a little bit of a broader picture and maybe talk a little bit about Alpha-2, which we haven't done yet so much? We showed a lot of features, right? But more general about so how long is Alpha-2 going to last?
Yeah, so we have our Alpha-2 started yesterday, and we're running till the 26th. So it's going to be 2 weeks. You can still apply. We have a form. So of course, if you're a Kickstarter backer from our Kickstarter that we had a while ago, then and you have that tier of backing, you automatically have access, and you can check with us in case you didn't get an email. But if you're not a backer, you can still get in as a tester. And as a tester, you'll get an account as well, a character. You can go around. We'll just ask you to give us some feedback or your experience. And we're still open to more testers, so you can apply. And what's going to happen in these weeks is like you'll be able to play all the features that we show and more. As Martin was saying, there's many things we haven't showed. Upgrade the village further. So what you saw now is just the beginning. Like in the next weeks, the village will look bigger and cooler. And there'll be some events happening as well. So we have a list of events we've shared already on social media as well, and on our Discord, like a upcoming fashion show, a race, some hunts. I think tomorrow is like a hunt, like a ritual hunt, where everybody goes together. So a mix of role-playing events and also mechanically related. So do apply. There's a lot going on if you haven't applied already.
Yeah, I think maybe that is also another thing we could talk about a little, because why did we choose to make a fashion show? I think that's one of the features that we actually, maybe we can talk a little bit about this. What's the specific?
Fashion in general, right?
Yeah, no. Yeah. Why did we choose to have one in Alpha-2?
Yeah, I think it's very much because our focus is not just, as you were saying, Martin, before, about combat only and destroying things, but we're really about creating as well and expressing yourself. Our game is very much, not just like a black centric, but also queer positive game, and we want to be open to all sorts of people, genders, play styles. As you saw, we have farming, fishing. You can focus only if you want only on farming and tailoring, and become like a super good tailor. Or you could also focus on being a model. Maybe you just like really somehow you have money, you manage to buy really cool clothes, and then just show off and go around, being a merchant. So for us, having events that were not only like the hand or like money focused, but really also about aesthetics and expression is really important, because it's kind of part of the nature of the game as well. Like that's why we chose a skill system as well. So you don't have to fight through a lot of dungeons to grow all of your skills, but you can just focus on those skills. You'll get points anyways, and express yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and from a technical perspective, I can say that in Alpha-1, you couldn't customize your clothes, and there weren't many. I'm not sure. I think you were potentially able to create something, but I'm not 100% sure. So
very
it's
basic.
A new feature, right? You can customize your clothes in the colors that you like, and then you can trade this, and someone else will have this clothes with the colors. So it's actually one of these great features that enable all these personal expressions. One word I also wanted to add, because I think events is for us something that is part of the Wagadu Chronicles, right? So just there could be community-driven events, obviously, but also from our side. So this is because we want to focus on role play. So we believe that this is something that should happen, must happen, and that's also why we, from our side, will foster that in the future.
Yeah, really, we're speaking about role-playing before as well, and how the community was even role-playing during the stream. And it's interesting, as some people, I think, a bit thrown back, a bit scared, and they go like, "Oh, how can you have a role-playing space? It's like, what do I do?" But it's very much about just focusing on what you see on the screen. Like basically every single player game you play, role-playing game, is a role-playing experience, because if you're playing The Witcher or also Final Fantasy, every NPC or everyone you meet, or your character as well, is speaking fully immersed in the world. So rather than I need to make XPs, it's like I want to avenge my family, and that's the kind of environment we want to foster. But the cool thing is that rather than NPCs, everyone else is an actual player with like a player brain, which is the best AI, if you will, that you can have for role playing. And there's lots of role playing going on offline around tables, especially with D&D and so on. And we love to see more role playing going on in online spaces. And we're not the only ones doing it, but for us, I think the difference is that we're prioritizing role play over non-role playing. So we really want to create this safe space so people can actually fully experience and immerse themselves into Wagadu.
And there was a good plug, because the Wagadu Chronicles is also a tabletop role-playing system, right? So a D&D, how do you call it, supplement? Is that the correct term? Yeah,
like
exactly.
Supplements.
Yeah. So there is extra material if you want to continue your experience, or you're coming from the tabletop. From tabletop, there's an easy way to connect with, and there is also, I think this is another strength. Coming from this side, we have a lot of lore, right? There's like the foundation of this world, the breadth of this world. Yeah, there's so much there, and you will be able to experience that. But you also have additional information for your role playing, which I think is great.
Yep. We'll be releasing like next year all the books, so keep an eye. The 7th Era is coming. There's already a free module if you haven't seen it yet. With our newsletter, you will get it for free. It's 300 pages of PDF, all for free, with all of the lore of Wagadu, the current lore. And then we're creating like expanded version for next year called the 7th Era, and some companion books. So we're very excited about that. We probably should do a stream about just this topic at some point on the books. And by the way, there is a question I see from Vince. What do you plan for RP role-playing support, like emotes and animations? We're planning a lot. There's a question. So there will be like the dialogue mode you saw before. You'll be able to do animations. There'll be animations also in the world in general. I mean, you saw the dancing, I guess, from the fishing. There'll be more. So we're planning for sure, like emotes, animations, and even other things in future. So RP is very important for us.
Yeah, super important. Okay. I think, are we done? Is there anything else to discuss?
Check if there's any questions that we but I think we managed to cover all of the questions.
Yeah. If there's something, please, if you have more questions or you want to talk with like-minded people, want to find out more, join our Discord server, the Wagadu Chronicles. I think it is linked from our webpage, hopefully. If you're not yet there, it's the best place to kind of start connecting and getting all the infos and being up to date on if there's another, for example, this is Alpha-2, but there will be another beta release next year, beginning of next year, which will be even more open, even more players. So join our Discord, and that's the good place for you to start.
Yeah. So see you in Discord, see you in Alpha-2, see you online. We're very active on Twitter, social media. So looking forward to seeing you around. And thank you so much for coming to this stream.
Thank you all. Thank you so much. And I hope to see you soon on Discord or in the world of Wagadu if you're a part of the Alpha-2. Ciao, ciao. Have a good day.
Bye.